the headliners, the newsmakers, the political scene, and government issues. These should be our concern, and we're taking you at the forefront. Good morning. I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. Join me at the forefront as we zero in and discuss the details of some of the most pressing national issues that our country faces. Good morning. I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. Join me at the forefront as we zero in and discuss the details of some of the most pressing national issues that our country faces. In his recent State of the Nation address, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ordered a winding down of POGO operation until the end of this year. In the prior administration, former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque admitted that POGO was a cash resource for the country. Now, the PAOCC is concentrating its efforts to stamp down illegal POGO operations. And joining me today is Undersecretary Gilberto Cruz, the Executive Director of the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission and former PNP Academy Chief. Welcome, Undersecretary Gilberto.
Thank you, Attorney Karen, and good morning.
Yusek, let's first start with the PAOCC. So, can you clarify with us what the scope of work is of the PAOCC?
Well, PAOCC or yung PAOC na tinatawag natin, it is a creation of an Executive Order 46, and the main function is to focus on elimination or neutralization of the organized crime groups that are operating within our country, and also to focus on the anti-corrupt and practices done by government officials here in our country.
So it's under the Office of the President.
Yeah, it's under the Office of the President.
And how is this different from the NBI, CIDG, and formerly the PACC?
The PAOC is a presidential agency. So under it is the NBI. We also have the Philippine National Police. Part of the member of the PAOC is the Justice Department, the DND, of course, and other agencies that are needed in order to attain our function of neutralizing and making a counter or maybe a grand plan on neutralizing this organized crime that are operating within our country.
So the setup is very similar to a task force where you have different agencies also being part of the PAOCC?
The task force is generally, yun yung pinaka-operating unit eh. But mostly, ang commission kasi, yan yung parang, we are more on we orchestrate yung mga operations that are against organized crime groups. So once we organize, let's say, ang huhuli namin is parang we will be focusing on kidnapping. Then we can get yung the Philippine National Police or the National Bureau of Investigation to join us in the operation. And then we monitor yung magiging operation na gagawin against these kidnapping groups.
What makes the PAOCC more effective in dealing with organized crime compared, for example, if we just use the PNP or rely on the CIDG, you know, the typical government agencies?
Basically, this is the commission is more on, it's a whole of government approach. What we are doing is we utilize all the government resources that is necessary para magawa namin yung isang trabaho, and mabigyan namin ng solusyon yung isang problema. So kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, we can use yung National Bureau of Investigation, expertise nila sa forensics at sa investigation. We can use the Philippine National Police if ever we need a large number of personnel para sa isang malaking operation. Even yung mga maritime assets natin, we can use that, yung mga air and maritime assets ng AFP, pwede rin natin gamitin yan.
Yeah. Well, POGOs before were considered a legitimate business. And
Yeah.
from what I understand now, the PAOCC has been asked to really focus its efforts on taking out POGOs, or I suppose illegal POGO operations.
Yeah.
What makes POGO organized crime?
Well, sa experience kasi namin, Attorney Karen, um, ano sila yung POGO kasi, initially they apply for legitimacy, like they apply for licenses. And then they get their licenses from PAGCOR. And after that, once they got their license, mag-ooperate sila. Ang usapan kasi dito is that they will just involve themselves, yung operation nila, on online gambling. Sa POGO hubs na yun, may mga prostitution sa loob. No? Wherein iba't ibang babae yung binebenta nila. Kasama na rin doon. It's hard, masakit man sabihin, may mga Pilipina na rin na nandun sa loob ng POGO hubs na nagbebenta na rin ng pandaliang aliw. And tapos, may mga nakukuha tayong baril, may mga nakukuha tayong mga namamatay sa paligid, tinatapon. Kasi nga, yung kinukuha nilang tao at hindi sumusunod sa kanila, at let's say, naging matigas ang ulo, naging pasaway sa kanila, minsan napapatay nila or talagang pinapatay nila dahil talagang sa galit nila, dahil talagang matigas ang ulo. So, may mga nakukuha kaming mga dead persons. Imagine for just last year alone, 66 dead persons, foreign nationals at that, ang nakita natin sa paligid ng mga POGO hubs. So those were some gruesome things na nakita namin in this operation of POGOs. So sabi nga namin, we need to stop POGO, especially itong mga illegal na gawain nila.
And how extensive are the operations of the PAOCC? Hanggang saan po kayo umaabot in terms of raiding POGOs and discovering the different types of illegal operations?
Well, ang POGO kasi natin, Attorney Karen, it's not only focused on Metro Manila, though majority of these POGOs are in Metro Manila. We are looking at around 402 POGOs, POGO operations in the whole of the Philippines, the whole of the country. And in Luzon, we have POGOs. In Visayas, we have POGOs. In Mindanao, we have POGO operation. But the main bulk is in Metro Manila. So imagine, sa PAOCC, we're about 46 persons.
Only 46
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier, there's over 400
402.
POGOs.
Yeah, we're monitoring around 402 POGOs in the whole of the country.
So is that sufficient, the size of the PAOCC?
The strength really is too small, but we do coordination, Karen. We coordinate with the Armed Forces of the Philippines. We coordinated with the Philippine National Police for more muscles and more people to help us in this operation.
What other types of organized crime does PAOCC deal with?
Normally, it's like if you're familiar with the text that you receive about loan. Sometimes you receive text like, do you need loan? Do you need loan with the lowest interest? Yun yung mga tinatawag nating loan scams. And in one cases, we raided a building here in Makati. And the building is about 7-story building, and 4 of those stories were dedicated for scamming activities, loan scamming activities. And ang nakakalungkot dito, Karen, is most of the workers there are Filipinos. But those at the management level, the bosses there are foreign nationals. So that's why, dun sa mga loan scams natin na natatanggap, na halimbawa nag-loan ka and then you failed to return yung niloan mo, and then nakaka-receive ka na ng mura, nakaka-receive ka na ng malulutong na mura na murang pang-Pilipino lang. And then padadala na yung mga pictures ng mga anak mo, kamag-anak mo, kasi before they approve your loan is hihingi nila yung yung account mo, social media accounts mo. So they can get pictures inside those social media accounts kung sakali magloko ka, then ipananakot nila sa iyo.
So would you say that cybercrime now is one of the most profitable types of organized crime?
Yeah, totoo yun eh. Not only here in our country, but even in other countries, like Singapore, Taiwan, even in China. Ano. Yan ang sinasabi nila eh. Yung regular crime like murder, robbery, theft, ano na yun, nasapawan na yun, Attorney Karen. Ano. Actually, I was told that 100-folds eh. Kung dati, we got, sabihin mo, mga 80 robberies in a month in a particular region, ano. Yung online scams, yung online crime, siguro mga 800 eh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You were previously in the Dangerous Drugs Board.
Yeah.
Would you say that cybercrime right now has overtaken illegal drugs as a problem?
Yeah, I think so. Kasi dito kasi pag na-involve ka sa cybercrime kasi, nakatago ka, Karen eh. You can hide your identity in cybercrimes. Like sa SIM cards, in every POGO hubs na nare-raid namin, we confiscated thousands of SIM cards, pre-registered SIM cards. Ibig sabihin, kung lolokohin kita, isang SIM card lang ang katapat mo. After na maloko kita, after na makuha ko na yung pera mo, then tatapon ko na yung SIM card ko, then magpapalit lang ako ng bago. Kasi thousands and thousands of SIM cards ang nakukuha namin in every POGO hubs. So, sa isang krimen nga, o sa akin, ang basa ko doon is, yung buhay mo kaya kong sirain just using one fake pre-registered SIM card.
And does the Department of Justice and other government agencies like the Bureau of Immigration coordinate with the PAOCC closely? Are you able to prosecute these crimes after a raid?
Yan ang siguro pinagpapasalamat ko, Karen. Yung Department of Justice natin under Secretary Boying Rimulya, magagaling yung tao niya eh. That's why hindi ako nahihirapan if ever we tried to prosecute cases. And even sa immigration, if ever na meron kaming na-encounter ng mga foreigners and we want the foreigner to be checked as to the identity, whether the foreigner is a wanted persons, napakadali. So, well, I'm very grateful na magagaling yung grupo ngayon namin.
Yusek Gilberto, where does the cost of all of these enforcement measures, where does it fall on? Like, for example, when we have to deport the POGO operators that you said, like, are foreign, sometimes when you raid, there's thousands of undocumented workers or improperly documented workers. So, paano yun when we, one, incarcerate them and then process them for their deportation? How are we able to absorb that cost?
Yun actually isang problema, Attorney Karen. This is a new phenomena sa atin. Even wala pa nga tayong actual na batas na tumututok about this POGO crimes na ginagawa nila, di ba? And bago sa atin to, alam mo, for every raid na ginagawa namin, we arrest about 600 to 1,000 na mga foreign nationals. Ngayon, ang question is, saan natin ikukulong ito? Okay, ang Bureau of Immigration natin, they can only accommodate around 200. And puno na yon. So, ang ginawa namin, we just being resourceful, Yung mga na-raid namin before na mga POGO hubs, may mga buildings dyan eh. So, itong isang malaking building sa Pasay, we converted it into a detention center. So, yung mga nahuhuli naming mga POGO hubs, mga foreign nationals, doon namin kinukulong. Kinonvert namin yung isang POGO building na yon. And then, aside from pakakainin mo ito, Karen, yung 1,000 nahuli namin, pakakainin mo yan every day. Kasi ayaw natin magkaroon ng humanitarian crisis dito. Mamaya, sabihin sa atin ng international community, pagkahuli natin itong mga foreign nationals, and then pababayaan na lang natin. Pag nagkakasakit yan, Karen, if ever we do raids, laging may na-injured kasi they run eh. They try to escape. Others try to jump from the third floor. So, nagkakabali-bali yung paa niya. So, we need to pay for the hospital bills. And then, pagkatapos nun, papagamot mo yon, mga 4 months sila nakakulong doon, pinapakain mo, and then, kailangan yung medyo maayos yung higaan nila, no? Kasi ayaw nga natin magka-problema. Tapos noon, yung deportation noon, tayo ang sumasagot ng pamasahe.
Oh, wow. Pati pala airfare.
Yeah.
So really, the statement of the NEDA before when they said there's a huge social cost to POGO operations, I think we're seeing it just in the operations of PAOCC alone when you're talking about yung pagpapakain, when you have all of these prisoners that were from the raid. And I think some of the workers are also victims themselves when they're illegally detained by the POGO operators.
Tama.
So,
actually, tama yun. Kasi hindi lang naman sila ide-deport eh. Once na you got them arrested, may mga lumalapit, may mga lumalabas ka rin na complainants eh. Kasi sasabihin nila, ay, safe na sila. Then they try to make a statement na, sir, victim po ako ng torture. So lumalabas, nagkakaroon na kami ng mga witnesses, complainants. And then iba yung treatment namin doon, Karen. Siyempre, yung complainants, alagaan mo yan. Then papatignan mo pa yan dahil na-trauma yan eh, di ba? So tapos yung mga biktima, papagamot mo, especially yung mga na-torture, di ba? Kasi una, they will refuse to parang tumayo. Kasi ayaw nila, takot pa sila sa mga torturers nila eh. Pero once na nakita nila na you are focusing on those torturers, on those masterminds, lalakas na yung loob nila eh. That's the time na naglalabasan yung mga complainants. So now, siguro meron kami mga 50 na mga witnesses and complainants. Na alaga pa rin namin yon. So, iba yung alaga mo dun sa nakakulong mo, iba pa yung alaga mo sa complainants mo. Tapos, ang mabigat pa rito, Attorney Karen, is once you have, deported yung mga tatay, yung mga lalaki, magdadatingan na yung mga nanay na Pilipina, tapos may mga daladalang bata. Tapos mag-iiyakan sa yan, sasabihin sa iyo, sir, pinadeport mo po yung tatay nito, paano na lang po yung anak niya na iniwan sa akin? So now, magdi-DSWD na naman yung PAOCC.
So again,
papakainin mo yon. Tapos meron kaming sinusuportahan about 15 na mga bata na weekly humihingi sa amin ng panggatas at pampers. Pero ang kinatatakot namin dito, Attorney Karen, is after, what happens after. Kasi these kids will eventually grow up and they need education, they need house, para at least just to have a decent home sa paglaki nila.
Yusek Gilberto, in the course of the PAOCC operations, we heard that there's a POGO boss called Jason Bourne, or the Jason Bourne of POGOs.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about this individual and his whereabouts?
Yeah, we have this Chinese guy na actually is part of the in the incorporation papers na nakita namin dun sa I think it's in Banban, the one with Mayor Alice Go. Yung POGO hub doon. Doon sa incorporation paper na yun, may lumabas na pangalan na si Wang Xiyang. And checking on the background of Wang Xiyang, nakita namin na meron siyang 5 passports.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So sabi nga namin, wow, this is the Jason Bourne version
and all
of the
the
POGOs.
Same picture.
Yeah, same pictures, different names, different nationality.
I heard that there was also a raid wherein you uncovered a high-end plastic surgery clinic in one of the POGO hubs. What was this used for? Do they change the identity of people by changing their faces as well?
Yeah, the hospital you're talking is about, the hospital that we raided in Pasay. And this is a 2-story hospital. Initially, I thought it was a clinic, but it was a hospital with sophisticated, state-of-the-art medical equipments. They have laboratory, they have a dialysis machine, They have, cosmetic surgery machines. They have hair transplant machines, everything. So normally, Attorney Karen, in a police station, when there is a shooting incident, okay, or let's say stabbing incident, normally the nurse or the doctor will report that to the police station. The main intention is to get who's the suspect, if ever, and to arrest, maybe the suspect. But in this case, kung ikaw wanted ka from other countries and you want, to be treated na nakipagbarilan ka and you want to be treated na walang record, this is the hospital. And so I call it the underground hospital.
So it's not just for cosmetic. It's
Yeah.
actually a full-service hospital
Yes,
with
that's
other
it,
services.
that's it. And when asked about the permits of these doctors inside, wala silang pinapakitang permits. And
You have Filipino doctors?
no. What we had there during that time was 2 Chinese doctors. They said they were doctors, but when asked about the documents, wala silang maipakita. And 1 Chinese doctor, and 1 Chinese pharmacist, and a Vietnamese nurse.
Well, this is very interesting because we are seeing a lot of the costs involved with just the enforcement on stamping down illegal POGO operations. But we also have been hearing about the benefits in terms of revenues to the economy, real estate, the effects on real estate occupancy. So, Yusek Gilberto, in your opinion, is POGO a bane or a boon for the country? But before you answer that, we're going to go for a short break. We'll be right back here at the forefront. And we're back at the forefront. And still with us today is Executive Director Yusek Gilberto Cruz. Yusek, before the commercial break, I asked you, in your opinion, is POGO a boon or a bane to the national government?
After the experiences, Attorney Karen, na kita natin, first-hand info kasi nakuha namin. As far as the evils na binungan nitong POGOs. And taliwas ito, kakaiba to dun sa sinabi nila na initially na this will provide economic help para sa government natin. But, yung nakita naming kidnappings, yung nakita naming prostitutions, yung nakita naming deaths na nagkalat lang dahil mga related dito sa POGO. Yung mga nakita naming scamming, mga biktima ng scamming. Alam mo, pag nakikita mo, Attorney Karen, yung mga biktima nito na nag-iiyakan, nakikita mo na yung pension nila, naloko sila nitong mga scamming hubs na ito. Parang sasabihin mo na hindi yata sapat yung pinangako nito na economic help sa government natin. Mas malaki yung kahihiyan na binibigay nito sa gobyerno natin kaysa dun sa kabutihan. Sinong investor, foreign investor, na mag-i-invest dito sa bansa natin if they see na there are foreign nationals being killed here, if they see may mga foreign nationals na nabibiktima ng mga scammings, Kasi ang Pilipinas kasi, although the scammings are done inside our country, dito nga ginawa na tayong hub, scamming hub. Ang mga binibiktamin ito, mga foreign nationals from China, from Australia, from Europe, from Taiwan. So, ang usap-usapan sa labas, tayo yung pinanggagalingan ng mga scammers na naloloko sa So, sino yung mag-i-invest dito ng mga foreign nationals kung ganito yung kondisyon natin? In my opinion, Attorney Karen, siguro mas maganda na itigil na natin ito.
Overall, you see more disadvantages. And you mentioned earlier during the break when we were discussing that even the way they conduct their operations, meaning pati yung utilities nila, hindi rin sang-ayon sa our regular getting the right permits or even getting the right source of water, like you mentioned earlier.
Kasi chinek ko yung mga documents nila, of all the POGO hubs na ni-raid namin, especially the one in Porac and in Banban, Tarlac. chinek ko kasi dahil nakita ko, meron silang mga electric bills, which is amounting to 5 million, 1 million ang bill sa isang lugar. Kasi ang sineservisyohan nila rito, mga thousands of people, 3,000 to 5,000 ang pumapasok sa isang POGO hub. Ano? Ang hinahanap ko doon, Attorney Karen, is bakit hindi sila nagbabayad ng tubig? So, nag-isip kami, so sabi ko, baka meron silang pinagkukunan ng tubig. So, we look for it, and then nakakita kami ng basement kung saan merong isang mega deep well. Ano? May mga mega deep well pumps silang ginagamit. So, pinakita ko sa DNR, yung mga mega deep well. Sabi nila, sir, itong mega deep well pumps na to, eto kayang supplyan yung isang community, malaking community. Even one small town kayang supplyan itong mega deep well pump na to. Pero ang problema dito, sir, kukunin ito lahat ng tubig sa paligid. And those POGO hubs na ni-raid namin, nasa agricultural area ito. Meaning, ang tinatanggalan nila ng tubig doon, yung mga magsasaka. And that will concern, of course, our food security. Once nawala na tayong tubig, hindi na makakapagtanim yung mga magsasaka natin. And that will concern yung food security.
And of course, this did not get any of the permits to build that deep well.
When asked whether may permit na kinuha sila sa DNR, wala.
Yusek Gilberto, even the construction alone of a hub that has 40 plus buildings, that would require a lot of construction permits and very visible, no? Kasi yung pagdala pa lang ng mga construction materials to the site. Are there any government officials involved in POGOs? Because it sounds like these are things that are hard to ignore, especially at the local government level or even at the national level because of the extent of their permitting required.
Yeah. Actually, may mga issues na ganyan, and actually this is being investigated already by the Senate and the Congress. Ano? Iniimbestigahan yan kasi bakit naitayo? Hindi naman, sabi nga nila, hindi naman basta kabutihan na biglang tumubo. So, kasi normally, pag tinatanong namin, nagtaka na lang daw sila bakit biglang tumayo ito. So, tama yung sinabi mo. Hindi tatayo ito na hindi nalalaman ng even yung barangay captain dun sa area na yun.
Exactly. Unless they're not doing their job. Kasi di ba, nag-iikot naman sila dapat.
And these are no ordinary buildings. We're talking of buildings with 4-story, yung iba 7-story buildings, ano. And may mga bila amounting to nung pina-check ni Senator Gatchalian, it's 44 million ang isa, and may mga bila sa loob, about 12 bilas na 44 million ang isa. So, paano naitayo yung mga ganong bila na hindi alam ng mga...
And it's very sophisticated because I think some of the POGO hubs even have torture chambers. So, the amount of construction involved, it's just so extensive.
Yeah, tunnels. May mga tunnels sila ron, interconnecting all the villas. Yeah. And ang nakakagulat pa rito, Attorney Karen, is yung mga government-issued IDs natin. Ano. Doon sa mga ginawa naming raids kasi, nakakakita kami like ng mga driver's license, yung meron tayong nakikita mga PhilHealth cards, meron tayong nakikitang cards from yung sa Bureau of Immigration. And yung national ID cards, meron din kami nakikita. So, nagtataka lang kami bakit sila nagkakaroon ng ganong cards. Ano? Which is, tayo, pinipilahan natin yan. If ever we want to acquire or to have these cards, we go on dun sa mga, sa mga offices nila, tapos pipila pa tayo.
Yeah. So, it is likely that there are also officials from, for example, government agencies that issue IDs that are also involved.
Yeah, oo, kasama sa iniimbestigahan yan. Yeah.
Yusek Gilberto, with the raid in Porac, Pampanga, and in Banban, Tarlac, how were you able to discover these POGO hubs?
Kasi ganito yan eh. Yung mga embassies kasi, they try to connect with us. Like in the case of yung sa Tarlac, yun sa Banban, yung Vietnamese embassy, they called us and then they told us na merong torture victims na humihingi ng tulong. And also yung sa Malaysian embassy, ganun din. Humingi rin ng tulong sa amin na meron din daw silang torture victims. And then they showed us yung video So what we did is we applied for a search warrant, just to rescue itong Vietnamese na to. And then, yun na, nagkasunod-sunod na after the raid, after the rescue operation. Ayun na, nagkaroon na-check na namin na ito palang establishment na ito ay pag-aari ng isang suspended mayor, and then yung isa naman, ganun din, nagsanga-sanga na eh. So, although may idea na kami before we started the rescue operation, but nagulat na lang kami when we were presented yung mga voluminous documents showing na talagang totoo pala yung hinala namin.
What type of difficulties or challenges do you encounter when you conduct raids?
Well, yung karamihan kasi ng raid namin, Attorney Karen, is nagkakaroon ng problema na nasusunog eh. There is leakage.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah, siguro na you have heard of the leakage. And siguro nga, I think sa dami ng pera nitong mga POGO organization na to, illegal POGO hubs na ito, they can buy information eh. No, they can buy friends from inside, di ba? So they were given, valuable information para maisahan nila yung mga manre-raid. But we're so lucky, Attorney Karen, na yung during the PORAC raid, ito yung sa Pampanga, it was a big leakage, kasi we're still applying for the search warrant during that time to start a raid dun sa PORAC. And then we were sent a video na nakita na namin, nagtatakbuhan na yung mga inuhuli namin. We're looking about 3,000 na tao ang mahuhuli namin. Pero nagtatakbuhan na. Napadala sa amin. Nandun pa lang kami sa court. So what we did, minadali namin. Tapos, noon, nag-apply uli kami ng bagong search warrant kasi nga nag-leak eh. And then, eventually, the search warrant was denied by the same court.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So,
and then,
it sounds like
we applied.
Extensive din yung reach ng mga POGOs.
Yeah.
You have judiciary, and then you have government agencies. So, how did you deal with that?
So, we applied for a search warrant. But, before applying for a search warrant, we make sure na secured yung lugar kasi naniniwala ako na may tao pa sa loob eh. Kasi pinagpatayan na kami ng ilaw nung dumating kami dun sa POGO Hub, it's pitch black na talaga. We need a lot of flashlights talaga to walk through dun sa mga putikan na yon. And then, yung midnight, may narinig kami parang may humahatak ng bakal. And then, maya-maya, nung tinutukan ng mga pulis at pinlashlightan, nakita nila yung isang Chinese. The Chinese guy was handcuffed doon sa steel bed. Hila-hila niya yung steel bed. So, he spoke in Chinese, so hindi namin naintindihan. But it's very obvious na victim siya ng torture dahil nung hinubad namin yung damit niya, nakita namin marami siyang pasa. Then may black eye siya, and then putok yung dito niya.
So is part of your job also to hire translators?
Yeah. So anong nangyari, we did hire a translator, and then sinabi niya nga na torture victim siya, and he was left there nung nagkaroon na ng nung takbuhan, nung nagkaroon na ng leakage, pati yung torturer niya tumakbo na rin. So ang sa amin parang it's divine intervention dahil nga sabi ko, ito yung clear na witness na pwede kong dalhin kay judge na there is torture na nangyayari doon sa POGO Hub na yan. So, sabi ko, ito na yung hulog sa amin ng langit ito. Diba? Although negative kasi nga tino-torture, pero yun ang hinarap namin sa judge. Yung judge, nag-issue agad siya ng warrant. So, napasok namin. And then, we got around 156 pa rin na mga POGO workers din. And most of them were torture victims. Kasi aside from this guy, meron pang isang guy na sumisigaw kasi nakaposas din siya ron sa isang kwarto. Biktima rin siya ng torture. And then, in Chinese character, he's shouting. And then, nung in-interpret nung translator natin, he told us na he's just telling na he's a victim of torture and he's there for almost 10 days na wala pa siyang kain, wala siyang tubig. So, imbis na nakasama sa amin yung leakage, nakabuti rin in a way. So, sabi ko nga, maybe it's time na kailangan talagang masusunog na sila eh. Talagang yung kalokohan nila it's being open na sa tao.
When you have leakages like that for high-value targets, like for example, that POGO boss that's a Jason Bourne because of the multiple passports, he's the type of person that can afford to buy information. So
Yeah.
would you know his whereabouts right now, or how do you even go about the intelligence for finding him?
Ngayon kasi, there's a lot of agencies who are extending their help right now sa amin. Even foreign agencies, they're giving us good information about yung other bosses na nakatakas. Actually, just this afternoon may pinapuntahan din sa amin. Maraming tumutulong na sa amin ngayon, and parang lumiliit yung mundo nila. And of course, we're very thankful doon sa ginawa ng ating presidente about banning totally the POGO dito sa bansa natin. Kasi malaking bagay yun eh. It signals na ang gobyerno, the whole agencies of this government na magtulong-tulong to get rid of this problem.
So is this Jason Bourne POGO boss still in the country?
Yeah, I guess so. Nandito pa rin siya.
Well, good luck, Yusek. I hope you find him.
Yeah.
When we talk about POGOs, complete ban against POGOs, it seems like PAGCOR recently also came out with a statement trying to get an exemption for certain types of POGO operators. Is there a distinction, Yusek Gilberto?
Iba yata yung sinasabi ng PAGCOR. I don't know kasi hindi ako masyadong technical as to what these operations are. But as far as I'm concerned, it's very clear naman yung sinabi ni Presidente na all POGOs. So whether it's a licensed POGO or unlicensed POGO, yung 402 na minomonitor natin, Karen, ban lahat yan. So,
Yung 400 plus, they're all
400 plus,
unlicensed.
unlicensed yun. Kasi once upon a time, yung 402 na yun, may mga lisensya yan, Karen. So, we don't know. Nung naghigpit siguro ang PAGCOR, then they deem it na wag na tayo magparehistro, wag na tayo maglisensya, mas safe tayo kung wala tayong lisensya, may mga connection naman tayo, di ba? So, yung 402, yun ang minomonitor. Pero sabi naman ni Presidente, even those who are registered, hanggang katapusan na lang sila ng taon na to.
How is this different from internet gaming license operators or IGLs?
Yung IGL tsaka POGO, parehas lang yan.
So kasama sila dun sa kailangan i-wind down by the end of this
kasama
year.
yan.
Okay. And there's also activities called online casino and online bingo kasama. Kasama rin po ba to?
Yun yata, separate yata yun, Karen. Attorney Karen. But all those POGOs, sabi nga ng iba, baka magpalit lang ng pangalan eh. Pero basta IGL, POGO, parehas lang yan. And then kung tingin ko hindi na magpapalit ng pangalan yan, totally baban na yan.
I know we were joking when this whole complete ban came out that maybe they'll start classifying themselves as BPOs, mga call centers. But,
yeah. Yun ang cover nung iba eh. But,
Oo.
hindi naman siguro tanga yung PAGCOR natin. And of course, kami, nakamonitor kami. Whether, ayaw naman naming maisahan tayo dyan, Karen. Kasi nakita na talaga natin yung sama na dinulot nitong POGO na to. Tapos magpapaisa pa ba tayo, di ba?
Yes. Considering the resources that POGO operators have you received any death threats or threats to your security or to even your family?
May mga death threats, ma'am, normal. Even when I was still in the service, we're receiving death threats. But eto, medyo makapalang death threats ngayon. Marami. And ang nakakatakot lang, sa akin, ma'am, parang okay lang ako. And then, yun sa pamilya ko lang, doon lang ako takot eh. And doon sa mga kasama ko, kasi hindi sila sanay eh. I mean, kami, we're from the service.
Yes.
And sanay kami sa mga kiskisan na ganito, ma'am. But yung mga kasama kong civilians and those, bagong graduate, doon ako takot kasi kawawa sila.
And how is the government protecting them?
Okay naman, si ES naman, Executive Secretary Bersamin, very open naman siya na as to how the government makatulong dito sa problema. No? Hindi lang, of course, yung para sa problema natin sa POGO, but yung problema ng mga tao. Yung mga tao natin. Kasi yun ang ayaw natin mangyari, yung mawalan ng moral, yung mga tao natin, yung mawalan sila ng gana. It's because they see nothing or they felt no protection at all sa gobyerno na pinagsisilbihan nila.
Are we able to afford that kind of extra security for people who work on making sure that you enforce against illegal POGO operations or even organized crime for PAOCC?
We're trying to kasi nga bago Karen. So sinusubukan namin na ma-resolve yung problema na to. Yeah.
Kanina we went through online gaming license operators. What about back-end POGO businesses in Cagayan? Is this also covered by
Meron
POGOs?
tayong mga di ba, yung mga CESA na tinatawag natin, yung mga export processing zones natin, di ba? So kasama 'yon. Actually pinaimbestigahan na rin yun kasi we heard and we have intel reports na some of those POGOs na nagtakbuhan dun sa ibang sa loob ng mga processing zone natin.
Yusek Gilberto, I'm gonna ask you, do you think this shift in terms of the stance against banning all types of POGOs, do you think this has anything to do with the Duterte-Marcos rift? And again, before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break for now, but don't go away. At the Forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the Forefront. And still with us is Undersecretary Gilberto Cruz, Executive Director of the PAOCC. Undersecretary Gilberto, before the break, I was asking you, do you think this shift in the government stance on banning all types of POGOs related to the rift between former President Duterte and current President Marcos?
Sa akin, sa tingin ko hindi naman. Nakita lang natin ngayon yung kung gaano kasama yung dinudulot ng POGO na to. And it is because yung media exposure nito, and those evil things na associated dito sa mga POGOs na expose through the media. Like yung sinasabi ko kanina, like yung those kidnappings, the killings, the prostitution activities, the scamming, na-expose siya eh. So I think yun ang nag-trigger dito kung bakit pinaban na ito ng President. Kasi this is too much. Hindi na natin kayang tanggapin yung mga ganun, na paano, okay, sa ngayon kasi sinasabi ng mga investigators ng ibang law enforcement agencies na they're killing each other. Chinese to Chinese o Vietnamese to Chinese ang nagpapatayan. But eventually, tatakbo yan, tatalon yan eh. Kasi mag-evolve yan kasi alam na nila yung modus eh. They can get away with the crime, even the crime of killing a person. Hindi na sila naiimbestigahan. Tatalon yan sa mga Pilipino and eventually they will kill even Filipinos.
And there's nothing stopping them from also detaining and enslaving Filipinos and torturing them as well.
We have already yung mga biktima na Pilipino na witness natin and complainants also natin. So sabi ko nga, sa ngayon, okay, nagtatawanan tayo dahil Chinese to Chinese ang papatayan, Chinese to Chinese ang nagto-torture. But eventually, pag Pilipino na pinakialaman yan, okay, kamag-anak natin, kamag-anak mo. Anong mararamdaman mo? Parang inaalila ka, yung binababoy ka sa sarili mong bansa.
Yusek Gilberto, how can you identify if facilities are being used for POGO operations? For example, in the past, there were instances where high-end subdivisions would have houses that are rented by POGO operators. What are the indicators for you to know if, for example, in your subdivision, there's POGO operations?
Basic lang naman, ano. Halimbawa, sa mga buildings or let's say sa subdivisions, gabi na and yet bukas lahat yung ilaw niya. Okay. Why? Kasi ang mga POGOs natin, iba yung timeline dito, iba yung timeline sa ibang bansa. So when they do their scamming, nangi-scam sila, gabi dito, yung ini-scam nila tanghali, di ba? So gabi sila nag-ooperate. So bukas lahat ang ilaw. And then yung mga bakod nila, matataas yan. And some of those bakod, may mga barbed wires yan. Mga barbed wires. Yung mga hubs na nakita natin, ang tataas ng bakod yan, and then barbed wires. Then, just to prevent yung mga tatakas. Ano. And then, yung nagkalat yung foreign nationals sa paligid. Ano, may mga lugar tayo rito, like may mga cities tayo rito sa Metro Manila na once you go to dun sa mga malls nila o doon sa mga restaurants nila, you can find a lot of foreign nationals na alam naman natin na they're not here to be tourists but to get involved, or some of them are employed by those POGO hubs. Maraming red flags and indicators na magsasabi na in this particular area, in this particular village, there is an operation ng POGO.
What about the immediate effects on livelihood? So there are some Filipinos, including those selling food, that say that their income comes from selling to POGO businesses, selling food or rendering other types of services like janitorial services. What is the government doing to address this immediate loss in employment and income?
I think there is that yung coordination na with the NEDA, yung finance department natin, nag-usap-usap na yan eh. Kasi we're looking at around, I think, mga 40,000 na mga Pilipinos sa record ng NEDA na mawawala ng trabaho. So, they're thinking of, providing them new jobs or probably to get them enrolled in yung mga livelihood programs para magkaroon sila ng bagong pagkakakitaan. Tama naman yun eh, kasi once na inalis talaga natin itong mga POGO, may mawawala ng trabaho, like yung sa maintenance, security guards, yung sa kitchen, meron. Pero hindi siya ganun kalaki as portrayed by some groups na masyado daw malaki yung mawawalang mga trabaho. No. As in our experience sa PAO kasi, sa isang POGO hubs, siguro kung manghuli kami ng 1,000 ng mga Pilipinos doon, siguro nasa mga 50 lang o mga 80.
But those are the ones working in the POGO businesses. But those that also earn income from selling to POGOs, yung mga pagkain ng mga workers, or yung mga iba pang income na nakukuha nila from, let's say, rendering services by working for those in the POGO businesses.
Hindi naman siya ganun karami, Attorney Ka. Yung 80 na yon kasama na yung sinasabi ko na yun. Hindi siya ganun karami.
So it's been quantified. It's been quantified by the government, and they're doing something to replace that income.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what do you think are other important aspects that need to be addressed na hindi pa nagagawa ngayon, considering you were already working on stopping illegal POGO operations before, but now your job has become multiple times more difficult because you have to shut down not only the 400 plus that are unlicensed, but also the licensed operators. Is there anything that you see that's a missing piece in order to become more effective?
Kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, Attorney Karen, this is more of yung whole of government approach. And since kalat na ito, we're looking at, sinabi ko kanina, around 402 yung unlicensed, and then we have 43 yung mga licensed na mga POGOs. And para mapigil mo ito, we need yung local government natin. Especially yung mga local government executives. Kasi they can issue yung mga executive orders locally. Like, in Pasig, nagawa nila yan. Talagang totally ayaw nila ng POGO. In Valenzuela, nagawa nila yan. Totally ayaw nila ng POGO. In other province, nagawa nila yan. Ayaw nila ng POGO. Yung mga may POGO siguro, I think, especially those cities and provinces na may mga POGO, I think pwede na silang mag-issue. Kasi basically, sila naman talaga yung nakakaalam nung mga POGO hubs doon sa lugar. Obvious naman yan, makakarating naman sa iyo yan kung ikaw ay local government executives or officials.
But that's assuming that they're not directly involved in POGO operations, meaning na walang nababayad sa kanila in order for them to turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
Or worse, you might have instances where the mayor is like Alice Guo, who seems to be linked directly to POGO operations or establishing the hubs. Are there other types there that are kind of like this Alex Guo situation?
May mga tinitignan tayo. But of course, iniimbestigahan pa rin namin yan. And we don't like to reveal yung information sa ngayon. Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for that, Sec. Gilberto. Are there any last words that you want to share with us in terms of being able to help the initiatives of PAOCC?
Siguro pasalamatan ko na lang yung mga agencies na tumutulong sa PAOCC. Kasi hindi naman kakayanin ng isang grupo lang yan. It must be a group effort para masugpo natin yung ganitong kalaking problema. And this is not an ordinary problem na pwedeng isolve ng isang local government official. This is a problem involving yung future na ng mga anak natin, future ng mga magiging anak ng anak natin. Kasi once na inalaw natin itong mga sindikato na to, kasi I call them more of syndicated criminals. Kesa sabihin na nating mga magpe-pretend pa sila kasi ng hero sila dahil they pay taxes or kulang-kulang naman yung mga binabayad nila at marami pa silang ginagawa. Kasi baka later on maramdaman nila na parang nabili na nila yung Pilipinas. So ayaw natin gano'n ang mangyari. Ang Pilipinas para sa Pilipino.
Very well said, Yusek Gilberto. Last question. Do you think it's feasible to eradicate all types of POGOs by the end of this year?
Positive ako doon, ma'am. Kaya natin to. Basta tulong lang kasi sa amin po sa PAOCC, open po kami na kung kailangan nila ng tulong namin dahil hindi nila kayang banggain o hindi nila kayang ipasara yung isang illegal POGO hub, kami po open kami. And not only PAOCC but yung national government po natin, yung DILG po, nagkausap na po kami, si SOJ po, kausap na po namin. They're willing to help talaga yung mga government officials na sa tingin nila ay kailangan nila yung tulong ng national.
Okay. Thank you so much, Yusek Gilberto. It's been a pleasure interviewing you, and you have a very hard job, but I admire your courage and determination.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Karen, for this opportunity.
More at the forefront when we return. Welcome back at the forefront. In his third State of the Nation address, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ordered the banning of all types of POGOs. Some people were worried that this might have a negative effect on the Philippine economy. But today, we talked to Undersecretary Gilberto Cruz, Executive Director of the Presidential Anti-Crime Commission. And in his opinion, he shared that the disadvantages of illegal POGO operations outweigh the benefits that it brings to the country. He also believes that it is possible to eradicate all types of POGOs by the end of this year. That's all the time we have for today. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news, always stay at the forefront. See you tomorrow, same time, for another dose of our news analysis. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Have a productive day ahead.